Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's September the 20th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day presented by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Matt Shodell has emerged from the lab that we locked him in for the last 24 hours. And we locked him in and we said, Matt, Miami has red zone problems, okay? And we need you to decipher why. 4 trips to the red zone against Texas A&M, no touchdowns. The unquestioned biggest reason why Miami lost that game. I know there were a lot of individual plays and stuff that contributed, no argument. Certainly the muff punt was one of them. But a failure to score touchdowns in the red zone was without question the difference between winning and losing at Texas A&M, Matt. So we locked you in there. We had you, there were 11 plays that were run in the red zone in the game. We had you break down every single one of them. And I'm going to set you up here real good because what I could tell everybody is Miami's offense in general played relatively well in that game. They averaged 5.1 yards per play, okay, throughout the game. In the red zone, they only averaged 1.7 yards a play. So, Matt, I'm going to throw this to you. I'm going to give you the floor and talk to us a little bit about what happened in the red zone. Fans think it's all Josh Gaddis's fault. He's taken a lot of heat on the message boards and out there on talk shows and things like that. I'm not buying that, me personally. Like, I think it goes much deeper than that. You've broken it all down. You've spent hours looking at the tape. Tell us what you found.
Yeah, so after the game, Gary and I talked about, what we should be looking at closely. And we decided, the red zone offense was obviously an issue. So I told Gary, I'll take a deep dive into it, go through every play. But I was really tired. I mean, the game ended. I went to bed at 3:30 in the morning. So, I just mailed it in. I sort of remembered a little bit of what I saw. And I just, put up a little story. No, this took hours and hours of meticulous going over each play, stopping, restarting, going back again, restarting.
We wouldn't let him out. We wouldn't let him out of the room until the story that's on the website this morning was finished.
Yeah. So basically what I found, and if you want to just sort of the general synopsis in a nutshell, and I'll use this example only because my wife made delicious quesadillas for dinner last night, which she's never made before. I said, "You sure you don't want to go with the tacos?" Which she's done a million times. She tried quesadillas. It was delicious. So I would say when Miami was not in the red zone, they were playing, it was like eating Coyo taco. It was just amazing. It was fantastic. And then they get in the red zone and it's like Taco Bell with the lunch line, that you're waiting in your car for 20 minutes and then you get your, I don't know, what do they have? Chalupas? I haven't eaten a Taco Bell in forever. It's just not the same.
Kevin Steele's rubbing off on you, man. Yesterday at his press conference, he starts throwing out Baskin Robbins analogies.
Yeah, I love that guy. That was great.
Let's give all the chains their love this week.
My point is it wasn't the same. It was the same offense, right? It's still tacos. It was the same thing, but it wasn't the same. It just changed. It was almost bizarre. So anyway, so the 11 plays, I think, and I don't have it in front of me, but the 11 plays resulted in 17 yards, I think, off the top of my head. When you deduct the total amount of plays, which was like 75, so you turn it into 64 plays, you deduct the total yardage. I think they were averaging, I think it wound up being 5.7 or 5.8 yards per play. And then they got in the red zone, and it's 1.7 yards per play. And there's a reason for that. Mario Cristobal used the word effort. If I had to count, I'd say 30 times yesterday between our press conference, going on the radio in the morning. He kept saying there was the effort's there, the effort's there. And when you say it enough, you start to wonder, was the effort there? And I didn't even think that question in my head at all because I believe Mario until I really started going through the tape and finishing up watching the tape yesterday late in the day because the effort honestly, on some of these plays in the red zone was not there. There was one play in particular which really bothered me. And that was a 2nd and goal play. You guys can read the story and figure out. I can't remember. I think maybe the 3rd time they went to the red zone. 2nd and goal. I think they had a 1st and goal at the 6. They ran for 2 yards. Now it's 2nd and goal from the 4, or maybe it was from the 8 to the 6, whatever. But it's 2nd and goal. And they call one of those, Rhett Lashley read option plays everyone knows so well from last year. We don't know what Josh Gaddis is going to do, but that's what he did, right? It was those plays that he would run with De'Aaron King all the time where De'Aaron basically is in shotgun, takes the snap, and then he reads the linebacker and decides, do I hand it off to the running back going to the right, or do I keep it and run to the left? Okay. And in this particular case, Tyler Van Dyke kept it and ran to the left. And in the scheme where he keeps and runs to the left, the blocker in front of him is Elijah Arroyo, okay, going from right to left and then supposed to open a hole for him. And you got left tackle John Campbell, who's obviously got to seal his side. And if you watch, and I put the GIF up, it might be a little hard to see with a smaller GIF, but when you watch the video, you'll see Elijah Arroyo it was almost like he's not going to really keep it. And that's how he acted on the play. I mean, he jogged into the hole. He didn't even try to hit anybody until he realized that Tyler Van Dyke was trying to run behind him. And then it was like too late. Tyler was already tackled by the time Elijah Arroyo even put a hand on somebody. And John Campbell, same thing. John Campbell assumes, he's going to hand it off to the right, ball going away from me. And he was, to me, it looked like he wasn't doing what he normally does at left tackle. And the guy just went right through him. And he's the one who actually made the first contact with Tyler, with then the guy that Elijah didn't bother blocking at the second level, finishing the tackle, and it went for a 2-yard gain. And, that was almost the story of the red zone from Miami. That's 10% of what they did, 8% of what they did. That was one of those 11 plays, okay? And as I went through the 11 plays, and I don't want to be the guy who talks for the entire time, Gary, but as I went through the 11 plays, I had zero problems with any of the play calls from Josh Gaddis except for one. He really used misdirection well. If not for a missed block, I think it was Jalen Rivers missed a block on one play. If not for that, I think that Jalen Knighton runs free, probably for a touchdown around the left corner, but he couldn't get to the left corner because Jalen Rivers whiffed, and the offensive line did well, except in the red zone to me. There was another play where Jalen Knighton, this was the 3rd and 15 play, and everyone's like, why would you run the ball on 3rd and 15? Well, I took a screenshot, and I showed you what Josh Gaddis saw on that play and what he did on that play, and it was genius, okay? Because Texas A&M has a habit of sort of putting their 3 linebackers on one side or the other. They don't just put a strong side, weak side in the middle where you're spaced across. They put all 3 to the left or all 3 to the right, and they space their safeties around to sort of help make up for it. That's what they were doing. And in this case, Josh Gaddis said, screw you, Texas A&M. 3rd and 15, so you don't think we're going to run it? Well, we're going to run it. And he pulled Justice Oluwaseun. He pulled Jalen Rivers. He put them as lead blockers on a 3rd and 15 running play, which sounds ridiculous to do that, okay? It's like you're giving up. Why would you do that? But he wound up having 5 blockers in front of Jalen Knighton. It was 5-on-5 with Jalen being the 6th guy on that side. And Jalen Knighton got within 4 yards of the first down, and then a defender just in desperation almost dives, sticks his arm out, and Jalen went down. And that's when you heard the coaches yesterday talking about we can't just go down so easily. That's the play they were talking about. I know Henry Parrish fell down on one other play without being touched, but that's the play. Because when you watch that play on that GIF, you'll be like, why did he fall down? It should have been a touchdown. That play should have been a touchdown. When you look at the picture that I took a screenshot of, just look at that picture alone, and you see where Jalen Knighton is. You see the 5 linemen in front of him. You see where the defense is being reactionary and not in position whatsoever. And Jalen's speed and ability. You should get a first down or a touchdown out of that play, and they didn't. But
people are going to die with. I'm sitting here watching these GIFs over and over again. People are going to be really, really frustrated watching these.
They should have had touchdowns. I think on at least 2 of the drives. At least the play calls were not awful. Okay, and, it was just an unfortunate series of miscues. The 2 penalties, obviously, the first 2 drives didn't help. Once you're in 2nd and long and 3rd and long with what Josh Gaddis tries to do in the run game and the short pass game, it's almost impossible to get things done. You've got to, in his offense, with it being so run heavy, you've got to be in 3rd and short. 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 even, but not 3rd and 15, 3rd and 10. Like that That's just not going to work. And it didn't. And the other thing that bothered me, I'll go one more example because this is what we're talking about, half the plays already. So people are going to remember this play because remember the play where Brashard Smith just got totally upended on a 3rd and whatever play in the red zone, and they had to kick the field goal, right? Like the defender, like basically was run right into him, just almost by chance. It seemed like, Do you remember that one where Brashard went flying up in the air?
I do.
So as you watch the tape, okay, and this is crazy. So his plan was, I think he maybe had 2 slot guys or one outside receiver, and Brashard was on the right. With this is all reversed on my camera, but basically Brashard ran out about 5 steps, okay, cut inside. The receiver on the other side of the field is doing the same thing towards Brashard, okay, but then the receiver cuts upfield to take the defender away from Brashard. If Brashard had just continued across the field, there was nobody there. But the play call that for whatever reason, this is just the route tree they ran, Brashard stops dead in his tracks and then goes back towards the right sideline, which is where he caught the ball, and the defender just was right there. But if he had kept going to the left, he had beaten his man by 2 steps. The other defensive back was already out of the way because the other receiver had taken him out of the play, and that would have hit for at least a first down. On the game tape, it's hard to tell, if somebody else might have stopped him, but he would have had the first down for sure. So again, this is just, I don't know if you blame the play call there. It could have gone either way. I mean, the defender happened to see something where, he was chasing Brashard, right? Because he saw Brashard was breaking free. So he started chasing him from the secondary. And then lucky for him, Brashard stops and comes right back towards him. And gets the ball right before the defender gets there. If he just keeps running the way he was going, there was nobody in front of him. So I'm not quite sure. Maybe that's another one that Josh Gaddis screwed up. I don't know what they thought would happen. Maybe they're trying to take out that guy in the secondary, trying to get somebody else to follow him. I don't know. But that's another frustrating thing when you see it on tape and you see, well, if he just kept going, there was no one even near him. So anyway, you guys can watch the GIFs and make yourself crazy and depressed.
Well, I think you guys are going to enjoy this story. Seriously, it's really well done, and a lot of illustration to show you exactly what was going on, and you can watch it over and over again. By rights, we're not allowed. We can't play the plays on video, so we have to convert them to animated GIFs, and you'll see that we've done that, and you will be able to watch exactly what happened, formulate your own opinions, and hopefully, there's been a real cross-section of opinions out there on all these subjects, and I think hopefully that this story will help you guys understand a little bit better what was going on in the red zone. So at least if you
by the way,
at least if you have strong opinions, they can be informed.
I just want to add before you move on to another subject, which I know you will. I went into this film study expecting to find really bad play calls by Josh Gaddis, and I did not. So I encourage all of you to look very closely and play the GIFs over and over again, like I played the videos over and over again, and really see what he was trying to do and how it probably should have worked if it was executed better.
Well, one of the things that's on the website is my weekly question and answer session with the fans. And I felt like I was Josh Gaddis's defense attorney in that thread. It was just, Gaddis bashing left and right. And, I'm trying to point out to people, hey, this is not, you're not seeing it the way it really is. You're not understanding that they can't go up tempo. They don't have the receivers to go up tempo. And now Restrepo's hurt. Jacoby George is out for at least a month with a hand injury. They don't have the bodies there. They don't have the quality there at receiver to run a Rhett Lashley up-tempo offense. They just don't.
Well, listen, you do need to manage clock better than they did. You can put a Jaleel Skinner at wide receiver, or split out, I should say. He's not a wide receiver, but
he's just starting to learn what to do at tight end.
You give him 3 or 4 routes to run. He knows how to run a route. Okay, and he's too good as a receiver. I understand he's not physical enough to block, but he's too good as a receiver. And
he has to know what routes to run. He has to know the play.
So give him 3 or 4. It's not rocket science. Yeah, well, it is rocket science, but we call it football routes.
I mean, right now you've got Mallory and Arroyo who take.
They don't have enough receivers. They don't have enough healthy receivers. You got to.
But I agree they should find a role for Skinner.
You got to put Skinner. You got to put Skinner on the outside for at least 10 or 15 reps a game. You got to rest those receivers.
I agree.
A little bit.
Put them in there on third downs. Give them a third down package. Totally agree. I'd much rather see 3 tight ends on the field. There was a time when the New England Patriots, when they were winning Super Bowls, they didn't have receivers, and Bill Belichick went to sometimes a 4 tight end offense in the red zone. The big bodies can be effective in the red zone, and I will acknowledge that maybe there could be a little bit more creativity like that, but for the most part, I don't think that you blame Gaddis for bad play calls based on what happened. And Matt's telling you that his film study revealed that, and you guys will be able to make your own impressions when you look at the story that's on the website.
Yeah. I think people are just frustrated. It's a boring offense compared to Rhett Lashley. It's a different, it's obvious the coaches feel they don't have any receivers that are any good. Okay, it's just obvious. And what do you do? What do you do if you feel you don't have any receivers and you feel like you can run the ball pretty well? What do you do? I mean, you're not going to have an exciting.
They ran with them on Saturday night. I mean, they didn't hold back anything.
That was not an exciting offense. It's not going to be an exciting offense.
Plenty to those guys.
What's that?
Plenty. They were throwing plenty to Keyshawn Smith and Michael Redding and Jacoby George.
They had one pass that was completed that was actually more than 15 yards in the air. So I don't know what
you're talking about. Success. I'm talking about targets.
I'm talking about exciting I said exciting. This is not an offense that excites Miami fans compared to
them, Matt. They couldn't complete the passes.
Oh my Lord, that's not what I'm saying.
Either Tyler was throwing it poorly or they weren't getting open, but they were using those guys a lot. It's not like they were de-emphasizing wide receiver.
You're not understanding. We're talking about why fans are not happy with Josh Gaddis. I'm saying because Rhett Lashley's offense was so exciting to watch. Josh Gaddis can average just as many points, but it's going to be in a different manner with 10 and 15 play drives. It's not as exciting. And I get that fans
had different personnel.
Fans, yeah, exactly. And fans don't love that, Fans don't love that. A lot of 12 personnel.
You give Gaddis Harley and Rambo, it looks totally different.
I mean, yeah, I don't disagree, but I'm telling you why fans are frustrated.
Totally different with those two guys.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So, listen, criticism is part of sports. We're all critics at various times. I encourage everybody to be fair, okay, and look at it the way it really is. This is not typical. They don't have numbers at receiver. They don't have quality at receiver. They have, relatively average players at receiver. Restrepo is the best of them, and he's above average, self-made above average, I might add, because he doesn't have the physical speed or measurables that your top receiver should have. And he's now hurt for the next 6 weeks. And Jacoby George is probably out another 4 to 6 as well. And they just don't have it there. And you guys are going to have to adjust to this. And you don't have to do anything. But if you want to be reacting to what's real, I think you have to understand that this is going to be different. This is going to be a lot more running the football. Hopefully there will be even more use of the tight ends because I think they're both darn good. And I think Skinner should be getting ready pretty soon to get some reps himself. And I hope they keep expanding the use of the tight ends. And, it's going to be fine against a lot of the competition they play because the defense looked really good. And if they stay physical at the line of scrimmage, that will cover up for a lot of things.
Listen. I thought you were nuts when you said to move Malik Curtis to offense. I now think they should. I thought people were nuts when they said Thaddeus Franklin should be playing ahead of Jalen Knighton. I think they might be right now. If you watch him just get shoestring tackled, there's to me right now on offense when you watch the tape, you just say there's got to be something that can be better. I mean, there has to be. There has to be something different and better. They don't have any speed. Michael Redding couldn't get open one-on-one against a safety in the red zone on one of the.
They don't have speed.
There's no speed. So at least Malik Curtis has speed, like a deep guy. Like just let him run let him just run a straight route down the field. I don't care. But just somebody who's fast enough to get separation somewhere because streaks or posts or whatever, just something. I
would be doing that, as you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I disagreed with you at the time, but now I do think that they need to get somebody really fast who's played offense in high school on the offensive side of the field. And it's not unheard of at Miami. You remember Devin Hester came in as a cornerback and they moved him to running back. They tried him at receiver. I mean, when a guy is that fast and that athletic, you try to get him the ball one way or another, or at least, have a defense have to worry about somebody with a lot of speed. And right now, there's to me, a huge concern. I thought that it was going to be drop passes were going to be the problem. Well, it turns out the receivers also can't get open very easily, aren't particularly fast. I know everyone says Keyshawn Smith is so fast. Maybe he's fast, when he's racing Gary Ferman on Green Tree, but he didn't look that fast to me when he's trying to get open against some of these DBs. And maybe Texas A&M's just that good and that fast as a DB group, but they're missing 4 of their top guys last game. So it's very concerning to me, the wide receiver situation. And I'm sure I'm not saying anything that's going to shock anybody. We've been saying it since really the start of spring drills. And it's just finally sort of come home to roost that it's a reality. I really was hoping in the fall drills that, maybe a Frank Ladson or a Colby Young or just somebody would help. Like Keyshawn Smith, who supposedly was there looking like really good in the summer, that he would come alive. Somebody. But nobody has stepped up. Nobody's had more than 50-something yards receiving a game as a wide receiver through 3 games.
They don't have a number 1 receiver. Period.
With
I've been saying that for 6 months. They don't have it. And I also said that it was going to catch up to them when they played decent teams. It caught up to them on Saturday night. They were badly missing a guy that can make plays down the field.
Yeah, and by the way, did it surprise you at all? I found it odd because, Josh Gaddis, the defense, Kevin Steele's defense, they didn't want to show anything in the first 2 games, right? But then in the second game, they do a flea flicker. And then sure enough, the exact same play shows up against Texas A&M. Like, who does that? Like, I did not understand. Like, why would you show that against Southern Miss? The exact play that you're going to run the next game. Did they show it so that Texas A&M would think, oh, well, they showed it. They'll never run that because they showed it to us. Was it like a little reverse psychology by Josh Gaddis or just idiocy? I'm going to go with reverse psychology because I hope that's.
I think there's multiple options on that play, and they didn't necessarily expect to be able to complete it to Keyshawn, but they did complete the pass from what I remember.
Yeah, it was a short gain. Yeah,
out in the flat. It was a short
gain. But I'm sort of tongue in cheek with it. I just found it funny, but it's no secret Josh Gaddis loves the flea flicker, so I don't think it was going to be a surprise anyway. But I just thought it was funny that pretty much the same play. It looked like the same sort of idea too to get Keyshawn's pretty deep down the field, but anyway. It didn't really hit as big as they wanted, obviously.
And Keyshawn is their designated deep threat, but he doesn't have great speed either. He's got okay speed.
I thought he had great speed, but yeah, as it turns out, listen, he's got to take off the pads because apparently they're really heavy. I don't know. He looks a lot faster running around in shorts in the practice field. I'll tell you that. I don't know what happens. Some guys get slower in games because they want to be very precise. They're thinking too much. He's just got to let it fly, man. Like, just go full speed. And if you drop a pass, you drop a pass. I know some guys are worried. Well, if I go 22 miles an hour on that system they have and the ball's thrown to me while I'm going 21, 22 miles an hour, like, I feel like I can't see it. It's happening too fast for me. I don't know if that's what's going on with Keyshawn, but he has the speed. Brashard Smith has the speed, but for whatever reason, they don't seem to be going really top end.
Speed. He's got okay speed.
Who? Brashard?
Yeah, they're all both. I mean, it's like you can't some people want to build these guys into something they're not. They're just not.
Gary, they were timed on Green Tree in the fall, and they were over 20 miles an hour, which is elite speed. So I mean, whatever it is what it is, I guess.
I mean, maybe the devices were malfunctioning. They have okay. They have okay speed, but they're not. It's not difference making speed. Like, it's just not.
So your whole argument is it's like the roster, right? Where everyone's an inch taller and 5 pounds heavier.
I'm not seeing it with these. I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, I'm not seeing the capability of making those kinds of plays. Now, we will see some of it when the competition level goes down. But when they play decent teams, I'm just not seeing it. And I want to see it. I'm looking for it. I want these guys to be superstars. Because that's good for it's good for all of us. It's good for everybody. Everybody's happy. We're excited. But that's just not the case right now. That's going to have to come through recruiting, and hopefully some of these guys being recruited, will the Ray Josephs of the world will develop into those kind of players that actually catch the ball and have the speed to do something with it. All right.
By the way, what's frustrating? And I mentioned it probably months ago, and someone brought it up again over the weekend. why can't Miami have a great defense and a great offense in the same year? It's like every other year or every few years, it's one or the other. You never seem to get both at the same time. It's so frustrating. And when the defense is playing as well, defense is playing so well this year. I remember early in fall camp or even middle of fall camp, I was saying to you, I'm so surprised because before fall camp, I would have said the offense was a strength, not the defense. And now I think the defense is better than the offense, and that's what's turned out to be the case. But it's just disheartening that they can't just seem to have both be great together. Like it's to me, it's a shame because if the offense, if you took last year's personnel and offense and this year's defense under Kevin Steele, they beat Texas A&M, they probably beat Clemson, and the rest of the schedule is so darn easy. Like there's a crazy outside chance they could be a playoff team, but the years didn't align. The years never have seemed to align.
The defensive line rotation is nasty. Okay. I mean, it's really good and very effective, and they were dominant the other night. I'm really excited about the defensive line. But from there, I mean, the O-line has really improved quite a bit. I think you'd agree with me on that. They've improved quite a bit.
Great. By the way, great coaching because it's the same darn guys as last year. Great coaching with those guys.
Trying to fix my screen here. I don't know what went haywire. So anyway, they were very physical, without a doubt. I thought the running backs ran very, very physical. I thought the tight ends were great. I mean, most position groups on this team are performing really, really well. I mean, the linebackers are being masked really, really well, and it's going to come up every now and then. And you think, but here's the problem. And let's talk about this for a minute. In the game the other night, I thought the linebackers were fine for most of the game, but then there was that one play that they scored the touchdown on, and that's ball game. And that's the problem that they have in that, great defensive line play will cover it up, and it'll cover up it again and again and again. And then there's going to be that one play where it can't cover it up, and now you're exposed a little bit, and you miss the tackle. You don't get there in time. Now the guy's running free, and then James Williams misses a tackle, and then before you know it, he's in the end zone, touchdown, and they win the game.
That was like a flashback to the last couple of years. The funny thing is, there was a question from a reporter yesterday to Kevin Steele, and maybe it wasn't a terrible question. I don't know. I wouldn't have asked it, but they asked, why can't Caleb Johnson and Corey Flagg play on the field together? And it was reminiscent to me. There was a reporter back in the day who asked, I think it might have been, they asked either Butch Davis or Larry Coker. They said, can you explain what a tight end is? that was one of my favorite questions of all time. But anyway, so Kevin Steele's answer was just legendary, and I think we wrote about it yesterday. But part of the answer was that, they play the same position, and just because a quarterback and a running back both have the word back in it doesn't mean they play the same position either. So Kevin Steele doesn't pull any punches, man. But yeah, the linebackers are still obviously the weakest unit on the defense. Regardless, look, Corey Flagg, I pick on Corey a little bit because I don't think he's the most physical linebacker, but he's very fast against smaller teams. Well, this was a pretty physical, offense he played against, and he did very well. So I will give him his due.
He's better this year. He has gotten better under this coaching. He's
better. And then the other thing I'd mention, which I found very interesting, was there was a heavy rotation the first two games at linebacker and defensive line, and in the secondary at cornerback and to some extent at safety, where they put Al Blades in. The first game they had Avante a little bit. This game, the cornerbacks, the top three corners, and I'm including Corey Couch as the third corner. He's really star corner, whatever. But other than him, the other two corners, DJ Ivey and Tyreek Stevenson, played almost every snap. And the two starting safeties, Cam Kinchins and James Williams, I think it was Cam played every snap and James played every snap except for two. There's no longer a rotation in the secondary, basically. Essentially,
and Al Blades comes in passing situations. He's the safety. He's the next safety off the bench. He comes in passing situations.
Yeah, but he's not he's not playing safety in those situations because they're keeping those other two unless they put James in the box in whatever situation. That's not a passing situation. Right. Anyway, this game they played every snap, Gary. Those two guys, the two starting safeties played every snap except for two. My point is this: notwithstanding Gary's Al Blades diversionary tactics, okay? Kevin Steele is a genius because Kevin Steele, his whole thing all off season, all fall camp was we're rotating everywhere. You know, we need guys to be fresh, whatever. But the second he realized against Southern Miss that, damn, our secondary is not as good as I thought, we can't put Malik Curtis in. We can't put Al Blades and Avante Williams in. We can't, go down the list, right? These are our starters because they're better than the other guys, and they're going to play the whole game. Like that was genius to me, and you saw the results. Like Mario was saying yesterday, if we just would stop the offense the first couple of series, we'd be a great defense. Well, the reason they're not is for those reasons. They're still trying to size up, figure it out, and once they figure it out, and once Kevin Steele figures it out, you see how good this defense is. The two safeties and the three corners were by far the five highest snap count guys. They all had over 40, four of them had over 50. The next highest guy had like 32 on the team snaps in the game on defense. And I think the next place that's going to happen is on the defensive line, which you're saying, this is a killer rotation. I think Leonard Taylor, by the midway point of the season, will be playing 80% of the snaps on defense. He's too good. You do not take a guy like that off the field once he understands what to do. And Kevin Steele clearly told us that yesterday as well. The only thing that's holding Leonard Taylor back from being one of the greatest defensive tackles in America is he's got to sort of understand in different systems what he's got to be able to do. Once he does that, he's playing 80% of the reps, okay? And then I think at defensive end, I just don't see how you take Akeem Messidor off the field. He's good in every situation. He can go inside, he can go outside.
Mitchell Agude too is really good.
But he's more of to me, he's a little more of a pass rusher. But yeah, I get what you're saying. But my point is, I think that's going to happen. But I think before that Clemson game and maybe even the Florida State game, okay, I think we're going to see, just like I told you, the reps all of a sudden at safety and cornerback is all going to those five guys. Defensive line, all of a sudden you're going to see just instead of having 8 defensive linemen, it's going to be maybe 5 getting 80% of the reps with a 6th guy who's working in, also something like that. I think that's the next place it happens. I don't think it'll ever happen at linebacker because they don't have any separation. There's nobody at linebacker unless Wesley Bissainthe figures it out and gains 20 pounds of muscle in the next 3 weeks. I just don't think it's going to happen at linebacker. But I think defensive line, I think they're still figuring out what they got because when you get in games, it's different than practice. They're still learning what they have. And Kevin Steele's not going to tell you, we're trying to go with 5 or 6 defensive linemen, but I think that's where this is heading. And you can see what happened in the secondary. You could see what he did in the secondary this last game already. When he figured it out, this is our best secondary. They're going to be good enough to go for whatever it was, 70. Well, it was only 50-something reps, 58 reps. But they're good enough to play all those reps. They're in condition enough, blah, 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 blah. We're not taking them off the field because they're our best guys. That's basically what he said.
All right, we have several more things to still talk about. But first, let's hear from our friends at Life Wallet.
Hey sis, want to play one-on-one? What about 3-on-3? Let's do it. You're not Haley. Wait a minute.
Life Wallet user not detected.
I knew it.
Secure your health information and privacy with Life Wallet. Life Wallet. Saving time, saving lives.
I want to go to the cinematography class that the guy that produced that commercial went to. I mean, that's pretty cool when you take an image of the two sisters and turn it into 20 of them. I mean, that's it's pretty cool special effects.
They were doing that. They were doing that in the 1930s, but I guess you don't get out to the movies very much.
I'd like to learn how to do that, just so on this show I can create 20 Matt Shodells. I could just. This isn't even the real me, bro. I'm having breakfast downstairs right now. This isn't the real me. I could go to a view like this, and I can create some extra boxes and create some extra Matt Shodells. So,
yeah, that's great.
There's all kinds of stuff.
That's what the world needs. That's what the world needs is more Matt Shodells. That's for sure. I don't know. What happened today? why'd you let me, we're at the 39, 38 minute mark, whatever. You let me talk for like 28 minutes. Like, what's going on over there, man? Are you feeling all right? Like, I'm concerned about you.
I'm good, man. I've been watching all the GIFs and I'm looking up the stats, and I needed to wear my glasses, but whatever. But no, but anyway, all right. So we had extended sessions yesterday with Mario Cristobal and the two coordinators, and you've got those stories on the website today, and as well as we put together 5 takeaways from all of that news that was generated yesterday. So hope you guys enjoy reading through that. Other stories on the website today, we take a look at Week 2 NFL highlights, what the Pro Canes are doing out there. We have reviews of Mario Cristobal, in addition to our session with him, also went on WQAM yesterday, so we have a recap of that. And we also, on a recruiting, from a recruiting standpoint, we talked to Miami Central coach Zub Joseph about the recruiting impact of the Miami Hurricanes' loss to Texas A&M. So you guys will find it interesting to get that perspective from a high-profile Dade County coach just on will Miami's loss impact recruiting. I personally do not think it will impact recruiting at all. I think people will be encouraged by what they saw out there.
By the way, guess who's Jaleel Florencing me? You want to take a guess? You don't want to guess who's Jaleel Florencing me?
No, who?
Listen, he's a nice guy, and he's not doing it on purpose, unlike Jaleel Florence did. So, listen, I've talked to David Hicks.
I think you gotta get over Jaleel Florence, by the way.
What?
Just get over it.
Why?
Because it's been there, done that. Get over it.
No, it's an adjective. It's not about him anymore.
Than that.
It's not about him. It's an adjective. He's the first recruit in how long I've been doing this? 30 years? I don't even know how. Yeah, probably 30 years. He's the first recruit who ever texted me that I'm going to block you. So I mean, that's worth something. It's a badge of honor. It's a badge of honor. I literally called him twice, and he texted me, "I'm going to block you." So I love that kid. But yeah, so David Hicks's dad. I never called David Jr. because he doesn't really like to do interviews, so I don't bother him. But I call the dad once in a while to check in, and obviously after the Texas A&M game, that's an important one. And I don't know if the dad's messing with me or not. Like, you remember Jaleel Skinner's dad, who was like, Jaleel's solid with Alabama. There's no chance for Miami. The whole thing, like just messing with everybody. So he's not messing with me. But so I reached out to him on Sunday, and I said, "Hey, we'd love to catch up with you to get your thoughts on the game, where things are going with David, blah, 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 blah." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm at school." I guess he works at a school. And he's like, "I don't know why he's working on a Sunday." That's the first warning sign that maybe he's messing with me. I don't know. He's like, "I'll call you at lunch." And I'm like, thumbs up, And I don't know what time he has lunch, but by around 7 p.m., I figured it was probably already lunchtime in Texas. So I shot him a text, and I'm like, "Hey, do you still want to catch up at some point or whatever?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah." He says, "Sorry." And he says, "You know what?" He says, "I get up early to go work out." He says, "Call me at 6 a.m. your time tomorrow." Now, I don't know if Mr. Hicks was trying to make me wake up early, like I didn't want to wake up early, but I get up early anyway, and I was getting up early anyway yesterday to listen to Mario Cristobal on WQAM, because Mario Cristobal apparently also probably talks to David Hicks Sr. at 5:30 a.m., which is why I assume he does the QAM so early. So, 6 a.m. comes, and I call Mr. Hicks as instructed, and no response, no answer. I text him like, is this still a good time? ? No response, and that was it. I called him 15 more times over the next 30 minutes. No, I did not. I just texted him that one time, and then he texted me back. I guess it was probably mid-morning, and he says, "Sorry, my phone had problems." That whole thing. And he says, "I'll call you at lunch." And now I don't think he eats lunch. That's basically my takeaway. He does not eat lunch. He does not take lunch, because I still have not heard from Mr. Hicks Sr. I love him to death. We have a good relationship. I've talked to him several times. And kudos to him. He has not texted me yet that I am blocking you. So I guess technically he hasn't Jaleel Florence me. But I don't know. This doesn't usually happen to me. So just sharing with you all the joys of being a reporter and covering recruiting once in a while. So enjoy that story, that wonderful story, everybody. And I'm sure he'll call me today at lunch.
Yeah, I don't feel good about that one. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that one goes. He's really a very nice guy. I met him.
He is. He really
about
is.
a year or so.
Yeah, I don't
ago.
want to imply that he's not nice. I just think it's funny, and I'm sure he's very busy. I really don't think he's doing it on purpose at all, because he is responding.
He's a good dude.
I don't think he's messing with me, but I think it's funny when you hear it out loud. You could say, "Is he messing with me?"
But I'll tell you, man, this David Hicks is a flat out beast, man. It's like he is one of if you watch him do a drill at a camp,
yeah, he's special.
Yeah,
he's special. And listen, David Jr. is a super nice guy. Doesn't talk a lot. That's the thing. He doesn't. And I'm not talking about to reporters. He's one of the more quiet recruits. You just got a lot of quiet recruits every once in a while. Not a lot, but a few. Ruben Bain's the same way. So it's just hit or miss. It's funny. I had not talked to Popo. You call him a Geary. I don't know if it's a Geary or a Aguirre. I don't know. I don't know the pronunciation. But I asked him, "Do I call you Popo? Do I call you Raul?" He says you can refer to me as Raul. So I guess I'm not. I guess his friends call him Popo. His friends call him Popo. I have to call him Raul. Okay. So anyway. So I was talking to him after the game, and Raul, he loves to talk. I mean, one of the most talkative recruits I've ever seen. And it's almost like, you go out with those couples sometimes, and maybe it's the wife or the husband, but they don't stop talking, and the other one never talks. So I just can't wait. If David Hicks does come to Miami, and I assume Raul will stick, I just want to get those two to do an interview with me together and just sit there and just let's see what happens, like to see them in their natural habitat, so to speak, because I have a feeling like Raul won't even notice that David Hicks doesn't talk, he'll do the talking for everybody. And I love Raul to death because he was funny. He was great. And I got to type that up. I've been so busy with these other stuff. I got to type that up, and that'll be a story at some point this week too, but he was fantastic also.
All right.
And he did not Jaleel Florence me.
I think we've let Matt talk enough for one morning. That's going to do it for Good Morning CaneSport for today.
You didn't even interrupt me. It was like bizarre. It's like that Bizarro world, the Star Trek where they go to the alternate realities and one person becomes another. Like, I've become you and you've become me for one day. It's super weird.
All right. That's going to do it for Good Morning CaneSport.
I should say that if I'm you. Thanks for joining us, everybody. The Matt Shodell Show will be back tomorrow morning. Stay tuned.
Peace, everybody.